The Kaisei era of Godzilla continues in the IDW Comics universe, and here's another book that you're not going to want to miss. Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone. Now, I had another video a few weeks ago when a lot of these books were announced, where I gave you kind of an overall feeling of this book. But now here we are for a full non-spoiler review. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will give you a synopsis that's been provided and has been publicly out there, and I'll talk about the book as well in detail. So first of all, let's talk about the creative team. This is written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan. Now, if those names sound familiar, especially if you're a fan of the channel, it's because we also have a separate video for these guys in their book Blink and You'll Miss It, #1 from Boom Studios. So go check that out. With art by Pablo Tunica, an artist that I was not very aware of before going into this, but man, oh man, definitely very quickly became a fan. And we also have letters by Nathan Wittick. So this is a set within IDW's Kaisei era of Godzilla in this universe. We know there's going to be 3 different books. This is one of those. Escape the Dead Zone explores what lies inside a quarantine region in the Pacific Northwest, sealed off after a catastrophic Godzilla attack. This has been dubbed the Dead Zone, and it is rumored to be home to bizarre creatures, even human kaiju hybrids, which we have explored in the main issue of Godzilla. Also, the central figure, this wanderer, a half man, half kaiju, whose strength rivals that of a monster, may roam freely within the dead zone, and he may not be alone. The story here, we're going to go through a lot of it, and it's going to be very, very cool. A lot of very supernatural elements, sci fi elements, and then just this mystery of kind of how we follow this character. So I really think the idea of these. Godzilla or these kaiju human hybrids is really fun. It's a really interesting concept. As we kind of go into the book, we don't really know a lot of how we got there, but there are little bits of clues, right? We get a little bit of a background of maybe this strange wanderer that we're following around, what their life maybe was before the dead zone came to be, before this Godzilla attack that kind of ruined everything, right? And then of course, what kind of characters would choose or would be forced to remain in this quarantine zone of the dead zone. You know, what is out there in the larger world and how does it relate to everything that we're seeing in these pages? Like I mentioned, I was not very familiar with Tunica's art, but I really like it. It's very stylized, very gritty. Like there's some heavy lines, heavy inking that I think really bring a lot of weight to the pages of the story. I really like the pacing of the book. There's a lot of little off to the side conversations from side characters that kind of help you explore and give context to the world that we're living in. But overall, this is a kaiju book, and you're gonna get some action. You're gonna get these big bombastic pages. Um, I'm very very excited to see where we go from here, because this is definitely a big old sci-fi adventure. There's almost this feeling of body horror, but it's not really human body. So like, there's a difference there. There's the character designs are just incredibly bombastic and full of, like, they just feel very much like a comic that is going out and just putting, like, cranking it to 11 when it comes to these weird designs and this the exploration of this world. How does the society deal with the fallout from all this as well? So yeah, very interesting stuff. Like I said, if you want big kaiju battles, you want to check this out. If you want this really cool sci-fi gritty story, you want to check this out as well. And then of course, as we get to the end of the book, there's a little bit of something else revealed. So very interesting stuff. A lot of really cool covers as well. I can't wait to get to my shop and actually pick this up. So big shout out to my friends at IDW for sending us this book to check out. Let me know if you have read this, what you thought about it down in the comments. As I mentioned, you can check out my review for Ethan and Griffin's other book in the channel as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which order I'm putting these out in, so maybe it's not out yet. But just stay tuned for that. And of course, let me know what you thought about this book. Let me know what you think about this new Kaisei era of the Godzilla universe from IDW. And stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. For a new Romance mystery, will blink and you'll miss it. Let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review for Blink and You'll Miss It #1. This is a new book from Boom Studios. I am very excited for this book because of the creative team, so let's talk about them. This is written by Ethan Parker and Griffin Sheridan. You have maybe seen these creators on the channel. They also have a second book coming out this same week. We'll have a review for that as well. Make sure to check that out. This is with art by Keith Browning, colors by Brad Simpson. This is a very, very exciting issue. It's a new story, it's a new mystery, but it's a little bit of a thematically and tonally, it's a very kind of dark story that just kind of sucks you in as you kind of go. I think the pacing of this first issue, as you drop into this world, this town. So let's talk a little bit about the synopsis. This centers on Melody and Jesse, once a romantically involved in a small town. Blink and You'll Miss It is a surreal romance mystery when Jesse learns that Melody is trapped in Perennial Harbor. As reality itself unravels, Melody begins slipping backwards in time, inching towards erasure. As Jesse races to save her, they must discover whether Melody's curse holds an inevitable doom or hidden redemption. And that's really just like the very, very first glimpse of that. There's a lot more stuff that happens in the issue. I want to talk about the art a little bit first. There's some really cool character designs, and the idea of this town, Perennial Harbor. It feels like maybe your everyday town, but as you kind of dive into the issue, there's a few things that just kind of seem a little bit off, right? It's a very remote location. It's very difficult to get into this town. I think time is a very important factor and a theme in this book. So you'll definitely get nods to that. All this comes to us from the perspective of the main character who we're following around, and it really just, as we explore the town itself, everything seems to be normal, but there's these little hints that there's something off, right? What is happening to this town? Why has the town not changed since they were last here? Yeah, it's very interesting. So whether we are exploring time and memory and just kind of remembering how things used to be versus how they are now or how they appear to be. There's also, of course, the romantic entanglement of like what happened to this relationship. Why are we why are we in this situation at the moment, and how can these people kind of move forward from it, which I think is also very interesting, right? So Jesse is our main character that we follow along, but we definitely meet Melody as well in this first issue. uh it's a little bit of a dreamlike, very surreal. The visuals are very dark in tone, but never to the detriment of the art. I think the art really shines through that in a really fun way. And then, of course, there's a really cool last page reveal that kind of turns the whole thing upside down. Yeah, this is a very well put together book. A really great way to hook you on that first issue. I just really enjoyed the ride as I was reading this and getting ready for the review and trying to take, just trying to make little mental notes of like, what are the important things? What should I be focusing on? What is real and what isn't? Because you also kind of have to maybe sort that out on your own. What are these memories? And of course, why would you come back after maybe you've kind of moved on from this? How important is this relationship to Jesse, and who's going to stand in her way? But like I said, that last page, like there was already things that seemed really off about the town and these little clues, but the last page really just kind of puts it right up in front of your face. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. Big shout out to, first of all, Ethan and Griffin for just having a couple of books come out on the same week. That's pretty incredible. They also just had a Marvel book a few weeks ago, so it's been really fun kind of seeing them from their journey from Kill Your Darlings a couple years ago to now being very prolific writers. So that's excellent. Hopefully, we can get them back on the show very soon because I have a lot of questions and I think there's a lot to talk about. So, yeah, big shout out to the creative team. And then, of course, if you want this really kind of cool, surreal, bizarre mystery, you want to check this out from Boom Studios coming out on August 6th. It drops as well as Godzilla Escape the Dead Zone. I'll do a separate review, but it is also co-written by these guys from IDW. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. From the pages of Hello Darkness comes The War #1. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review for The War #1. This is a new book from Boom Studios. Very interestingly, this was originally published in the pages of Hello Darkness. So it collects the first three parts of that story. You can either continue to read on Hello Darkness, but they'll keep publishing these collected issues, which is the format that I'm choosing to read this story in. As you can see, I have the beautiful cover by Tula Lote. But let's talk about the rest of the creative team here. This is written by Garth Ennis with art by Becky Cloonan, Tamara Von Vellen, and colors letters by Pat Brousseau. The main cover originally is by Becky Cloonan, but I was able to pick this one up at my shop. So, in let me give you a quick synopsis for this. In New York City, as global tensions escalate into the real threat of nuclear war, a tight knit group of friends find their worst fears realized. Each of them proposes a different survival strategy as chaos looms, their bonds fracture under pressure. This oversized first issue collects the first three installments, originally published in Hello Darkness, unfolding a tense psychological thriller about fear, collapse, and human connection in the face of apocalypse. Now, before I go any further, I will say there's a lot of stuff going on in the real world. So maybe this is not the best book for you to get into right now. As I was reading it, I definitely felt, and it's both because of the stuff in the book and the stuff the book accomplishes a lot when it comes to drudging up those feelings of like tension and despair. And like I said, there's a lot going on. Um, it's pretty rough. So maybe it's not the best book for you to check out right now, but before you click away, this book is very, very well put together. The art is beautiful. Becky Cloonan manages to give you these really expressive characters, and Garth Ennis is just weaving this very interesting psychological tale of like how do people react when it comes to these tragedies, when it comes to preparing for the worst, um, when it comes to preparing not only to protect yourself but also your loved ones, right? As you can see in the cover, one of the characters is waiting for it's a pregnant and a baby is incoming. So what happens there when the world is kind of crumbling all around you, and the people that you rely on an everyday basis maybe have different approaches. So it's interesting. It's about community. It's about preparing for the worst. It's also about how we consume news as a society. There's a lot going on here. It's a very interesting book, but like I said, maybe not what people may be looking for at this time. So let's talk a little bit more. So we were introduced to this group of friends, and I think they just seem like everyday people that live in New York. They're kind of having these conversations, but as it is sometimes with a lot of these things and anxiety, like everybody deals with it differently, so that causes a little bit of tension within the group. There's this atmosphere of dread between like social media chatter, the news broadcast in the book. Like this narrative just kind of builds of this imminent, maybe a nuclear strike or maybe something big happening in the world, and how this is kind of how the group starts getting fractured. Right, everybody has their own little, first of all, their own circumstances, which sometimes they just can't bring everybody close together. So yeah, I really think that it's very interesting to see the different approaches to how people react to chaos, how people react to tragedy, how people even react to just the reception of news. It's very dark. It feels like there's really cool synergy between the art and the writing that just really brings this to life. So I think it's probably some of the best stuff I've read from Garth in a long time. Um, and the fact that this is just kind of really messing with your head too on an emotional level, I think it really adds to that. So of course there's a lot of things that are explored here, including just the overall fear of societal collapse and nuclear war. Like that's just something that I think media in different types of media have been exploring all throughout, but also just kind of the human response to crisis. I can't emphasize enough how much I really enjoyed Becky Cloonan's art. It just feels like these characters feel very distinct from one another, and it feels like a very diverse group of individuals when it comes to not only their backgrounds but also their situations, both societal and the way that they receive ideas and explore and even share things with each other, right? So yeah, I really like this. I think these creators are so talented and they've been doing this for so long that they really know how to do something that feels that motivates a response. And that's kind of what's really cool, that art should motivate a response and bring something out of the whoever is enjoying it. So like I said, I can recommend that this is a very very cool comic book when it comes to just the way that it came together. You can also, if you don't want to wait, you can keep reading this on the Hello Darkness anthology. But I would also say this is gonna be a very interesting story once it's all out and once it's all collected. So if you have checked this out, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know which cover you picked up. Did you find this one? Did you get the main cover? Is really cool as well. You'll probably see that in the video next to me. And of course, let me know what else you're reading. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. Time is running out for you to pre-order the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones #1 coming out in September. Let's talk about that. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Casey Jones #1. This is the eagerly anticipated series from IDW. This is going to be the first time in over 30 years that Casey Jones gets his own series, which is very, very exciting. Now, I've talked in the past about the importance of pre-ordering comic books, and whether we like it or not, that's kind of the way the comic book business goes. Pre-orders are important. The pre-order for this book is due on Monday, August 11th of 2025. That means that if you want this book to be on your pull list on day one, that means you have to pre-order it by then. So make sure to go check it out. Talk to your comic shop. A lot of comic shops, I've talked about this, they offer discounts for having pull list, because the more that they know of what product they should be getting, the more money they're saving of on at least on storage and over ordering or under ordering and stuff like that. There's no worse feeling than showing up to your shop when a new issue comes out and not being able to pick it up. So let's talk about this series though, because I got a chance to read it thanks to my friends at IDW, and it is pretty badass. Like that's really the best way for me to describe this series. If you're a longtime fan of TMNT, I think this is going to be very rewarding. And if you're just new and getting into this new iteration, that relaunch with the series, I think this is a perfect jumping on point, right? Even if you haven't been keeping up with Mutant Nation, where we've seen a little bit of Casey Jones, or TMNT, the main series, where we also have I think issue 5 pretty much is the Casey Jones issue. Even if you haven't read all that, this book brings you into whatever you need to know. This is going to be a 6-issue miniseries, and I'm very excited for it. debuting on September 10th. This is written by Alex Packnadel, who you may know from stories from like Batman Urban Legends and stuff like that. Also, I know Alex Packnadel for some of his own creator-owned stuff that it really is a little bit more on the horror side. So it's really interesting to see him do something like this. And we have art by Amanke Nawalpan, colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. Really, really great creative team. I think Nawalpan's new design for Casey Jones is really cool. There's something about the world having to draw these mutants that live in this TMNT world that I think Amanke really captures that. And there's a lot of really cool designs. Having the freedom to maybe even design some new creatures, right? Mutants don't exist in the real world, so like the artists can really do whatever they want. They can go kind of bonkers with them. But this book is also full of action, full of mystery. There's a lot of that Casey Jones still dealing with. Like he's been through a lot. If you've been reading, if you've been kind of picking up the TMNT Turtles, the main series. So yeah, and this story picks up, after kind of a dramatic moment in the main series. Casey Jones was presumed to be dead, but now he's back. And of course, he's diving back into the streets, right into the action. He's very protective of New York's mutant underclass, right? The world of TMNT has really been harping on this delineation of like mutants are being prosecuted, which if you're a comic book reader, like mutants being on the on the poor end, on the bad end of a prosecution or persecution is nothing new. So definitely something that we will explore more in this series. But as I mentioned, Casey Jones here is gritty. It's a little bit darker, dealing with a lot both physically and emotionally. But you get to see as well a lot of the cast, a lot of the people that you may be familiar with, and even some new characters that are going to be very interesting to follow around. Especially, it looks like there's going to be some kind of new big bad that Casey Jones is going to have to deal with. So that should be pretty fun. So if you want Casey Jones back to his roots, just doling out that gritty street level justice, then this is the comic you're gonna want to check out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a full review of this whenever we the comic goes wide and just kind of really dive into what's going on. 6 issues is a great start for a miniseries, but if it does well, you never know. These things can turn into an ongoing at the drop of a dime. So very excited to see where this goes from here. If you want to be prepared by the time that we get here, I would recommend at least checking up some of the TMNT Mutination backup stories in which Casey Jones has already been featured, but also the main ongoing TMNT series, which will also be getting a new creative team pretty soon. Stay tuned for that. We'll talk about all that stuff. Remember, pre-order the comic at your comic shop. There's a lot of really cool variants that have been already shown. Plus, there's probably a lot more stuff that we haven't even seen that hasn't been revealed. Comics moves very quickly when it comes to variants and these cards. Of them just kind of selling out. So make sure to check that out. And if you're excited for this, or if you're reading TMNT, let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Once again, thanks to our friends at IDW for letting us check out this preview. And stay tuned because we will have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Are you ready for the heist of the century? Let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Cheetah and Cheshire, Rob the Justice League #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Very excited for this because it's reuniting a creative team that I really love. This is written by Greg Rucka with art by Nicholas Scott. We have Annette Kwa on colors, letters by Troy Peteri. In this issue, a daring heist aboard the most secure facility in the DCU. Cheetah and Cheshire assemble a team of misfits and oddballs to pull off the impossible, robbing the Justice League Watchtower and getting away with it. All that stands between them and pulling off the most daring heist of the century are a few tiny complications, such as the most sophisticated orbital platform ever created, its AI driven security system, and one other thing, the smartest and most powerful heroes in the DCU. This reunites Eisner Award winners Greg Rucka and Nicholas Scott, bringing a slick, stylish heist that guarantees fun laughs and more than a few twists and turns. All you had to do was say heist, and I was gonna be in. You guys know, I love a good heist. And then, of course, having Nicholas Scott and Greg Rucka come together once more, it's really cool. I think that pairing up now, the pairing itself feels a little odd to me because I've never really pictured these two characters working together. But once you get into the book and you see how Rucka is kind of putting them together and the reasoning behind all this, there's the first issue spends most of his time setting everything up. How are we gonna? Why do they even have to do this? I'm not very familiar with the relationship between Cheetah and Cheshire, but I like the idea of these two villains kind of having to team up because of the circumstance, right? I think that's really fun. Nicholas Scott does such a great job in whether it's an action sequence or just a slower, more personal scene where the characters are kind of talking to each other. We do see a scene of them catching up, like at this cafe, and I really like that. But also, it can get a little gory because Cheetah is there. There's something behind Cheetah's motivation for this. Also, Cheshire as a family, so like, there's a lot going on here. Like, I really like the implications of what we're gonna do. Also, who can they turn to now in this time to bring into the heist? That's going to be the other exciting part. So this is something that I wasn't expecting, but I kept seeing the previews in the back of the DC and the back of a lot of the more recent DC titles. You would see that preview, and I think it's really, really cool. So I can't wait to get to my shop, actually pick it up. There's some really cool covers, including, of course, the main one by Nicholas Scott, but we also have a Greg Parrell Cheetah variant that looks very cool, and also a lyrics with both of them. So these are two characters that really lend themselves to also be in covers, just because a ninja, a cheetah, like it all really kind of works very well. So I like this. I want to see who Greg Rucka has picked to be like the main obstacles once they do get to the tower. I think there's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, I love a good heist. You guys know, I love the Godzilla heist book that came out very recently. I'm a big fan of the Ocean's movies. So very excited to see where we go from here. I don't know exactly this. This is probably just a mini series if I had to guess. But you get 32 pages on this first kickoff issue, so that's going to be a lot of fun. If you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Chris Claremont writes Wolverine one more time. Let's talk about it in this video. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be talking about a very, very cool comic. This is Wolverine by Chris Claremont, #1. This is, from what I can tell, just a one-shot. We'll talk about this in a second, but let's talk about the creative team. Of course, we have the legendary X-Men writer, Chris Claremont, but we have art by Tom Riley. Actually, I think the story is both by Chris Claremont and Tom Riley. Chris O'Halloran on colors, letters by Clint Cowles. I don't think I could have asked for a better artist for this tale. My goodness. Tom Riley just knocked it out of the park with this. Like, I'm going to start by saying that. Let's talk about what this book is actually all about. Wolverine's arch nemesis strikes in one of the rarest X-Men tales by legendary writer Chris Claremont. Previously only available in limited edition package, this story sees the savage Sabretooth catching his prey by surprise and determined to claim the life of Mariko, the woman Logan loves. Wolverine may be the best at what there is, but Victor Creed is the worst. Yet, even if Sabretooth can get the upper hand on his bitter rival, Logan has one thing he doesn't, and that's friends. Get ready for one of the bloodiest fights you've ever seen in the X-Men, in which Creed shares some shocking insights with Marvel's mutants. This also has a little bit of stuff celebrating 50 years of Chris Claremont. So it looks like this was all part of the Marvel Paragon collection, which I was not even aware of. So yeah, I really, really love this issue. Like, the story is called Surprise, which is like, if you know the relationship between Sabretooth and Logan, like, surprise is probably the one thing that you don't want when you have an enemy like Creed. But Tom Riley really gets in there, like when it comes to the violence. And Sabretooth is obviously a really violent character. But what really surprised me was how many other characters show up in this. It's almost like a love letter to this era of X-Men, because they're all in very era specific. And I think that's another thing that Riley really accomplishes very well. And yeah, this book just turned out really to be a fun surprise overall. I was not expecting, because I didn't know what this was all about. And I've read a few of Claremont's things that are kind of in the present or most recent, and they just haven't been the same. I also maybe don't know that he's been paired up with the some of my favorite artists, so including Tom Riley. Like, that already gives a lot of it already gives it a bump. Like, I'm really already excited to check this out. So it's a really great story. Like I said, it's violent. It's full of all these little things. I love the narration, but also just Sabretooth kind of taking apart all the X-Men that we see here and seeing, like, he knows them so well. Not just Logan. I guess this is how much he hates Logan, and this is what kind of Claremont gets across through the page. Like, he hates Logan so much that he has learned so much about all his allies as well to take them down, because he knows that that's the one edge that Logan has on him. But either way, the resolution is fantastic. I don't know that there's more continuation to the story, but this was great. I really, really enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see if Chris Claremont or Tom Riley do something together again, because I think that'd be great. So if you want to support that, maybe let Marvel know by purchasing this book, because then that would give them an insight on, like, oh, maybe people like this, they would want a little bit more. And man, I just want Tom Riley drawing X-Men now. That's really, if that's the one message we get from this review to Marvel offices, like, get Tom Riley on more X-Men books. Like, he really gets the characters and what they're supposed to, like, look and feel like coming out of these pages. So I appreciate that a lot. Um, Thanks for watching, everyone. If you have picked this up, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. There's the cover is very cool, and I don't know exactly. I don't know the artist who it is. Let me see if I can find information on that. Oh, it's Miss Steve McNiven. Of course, it looks fantastic, because it's just Wolverine fighting a bunch of ninjas, as you can see probably here on my video. But there's other cool covers by Young and Yu, and then there's probably some more store exclusives that I'm not privy to. So yeah, even just looking at the early reviews for this, like, people really enjoy this. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Dr. Doom and Reed Richards have a debate for the fate of the world. Let's talk about it in this video. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for One World Under Doom #6. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, continuing their big, long-running summer event. This is written by Ryan North with art by R.B. Silva, David Curiel on colors, letters by Travis Lanham, a very cool cover by Ben Harvey. They've been using Ben Harvey for this and the Captain America book. I really like this artist. I think he really works. He has a very distinct style that's very appealing when it comes to the cover work. So in this book, Doom's reign has been a success for months now, with even some of the heroes questioning if they're on the right side. A final desperate gamble is conceived, and Reed reveals a terrible secret he's acquired about Doom's global domination. But will it be enough? And what has Doom been hiding under the Liberian Dome all this time? All is revealed at a terrible cost. It's the beginning of the end for some, and the beginning of a new age for others. Yeah, I think this series, if I'm not mistaken, it's gonna be only 9 issues, but I'm not sure about that. That's all we have at the time. But I believe issue number 9 is the last one. just because the reading order says that that's book 76 of 76 that are tied into this whole big old event. So, but let's talk about this. I've really been enjoying this event. It's been so much fun. It's a really interesting take on what can Doom achieve when he sets his mind to all this, right? And why is the world kind of going along with it? There's a big consensus in the world of the 616 that Doctor Doom is in the right, and he is the one that should be leading the charge for all this, which is, it feels crazy. We've had some big fights. They defeated Dormammu together, but now what is going to happen? This debate is only a charade from the heroes to buy them some time to get the real intel on Liberia. So we have, while the debate's going on, which RB Silva does such a good job at drawing like these very express, like they're very RB Silva does such a good job in the debate, just having the characters be very expressive, which is hard to do because Doctor Doom's wearing a mask. So all you have really to emote are his eyes. And then, of course, Reed Richards usually is very calm, but in here, we do see a lot of physicality from him. So even in just this debate format, like things are very much amped up to a superhero level. But then we have the infiltration team from the heroes going into Laveria, and what they find, it's probably some of the sickest things we've like. Just Doctor Doom really has crossed many lines with this. So yeah, it answers a lot of questions. Of course, Maria Hill showed up in the last issue saying she knew there was something deeper there and we needed to get the truth. But even then, once now that the truth is out there, are people willing to look the other way because Doom has given them so much already? It's such an interesting idea. I think it brings up a lot of just societal issues without really being too overt about it. Like if you can kind of read on this on as many levels on this as you really want. Um, and RB Silva's, I love that this world is very colorful. I think that's something that really makes this stand out. The color work here, which I believe this is by David Curiel is doing such a good job with this because it has to be. It looks so bright and so happy that you can tell there's something off about it, right? Doctor Doom doesn't usually have this pristine image, so it's really interesting. And then, of course, everything that's going on with the infiltration, the panel work, the way that Doctor Doom is explaining some stuff and has when he's doing his speech, he calls out all the Avengers and really all the heroes. Like they have all these things to make the world better. Like Tony has an arc reactor, Wakanda has technology, but they don't share it with the world, and that's what Doctor Doom is the most disappointed in. So, he makes a compelling argument overall. So, it's very interesting. I really love this book so much. I think it's been one of the best events that we've had. Ryan North is just kicking all, like if you're not reading his new Fantastic Four, you're really missing out on some good stuff as well. So, yeah, make sure to check this out. I'm very happy to continue to read this series and talk about it on a monthly basis. So, if you have checked this out, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye. The latest Daredevil tale has come to an end. Let's talk about it in this video for Daredevil Cold Day in Hell number 3. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Daredevil Cold Day in Hell number 3. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, the last issue of this great miniseries. This is written with a story by Charles Soule and Steve McNiven, dialogue by Charles Soule, art by Steve McNiven, color art by Dean White, letters by Clayton Cowell, and of course these super rad main covers by Steve McNiven. I said this before, and I'm probably saying this every time I talk about this series, but Steve McNiven, he just reached a new gear in this book. Like I don't know exactly what it takes to do that as an artist. but it's just doing incredible work, and Charles Soule just telling a magnificent story that really distills uh, Daredevil and the character of Matt Murdock to like its main essence of he just wants to save his neighborhood, right? Whether he's doing it as Daredevil, whether he's doing it as an individual, whether he has powers or not, he cannot let this city, he cannot let his neighborhood go down in flames. So he will fight out whatever evils he must and put his life on the line in order to do that. So I love this story. It's really great. This last issue just wraps up everything in a very beautiful, poetic fashion, as much as you can be when dealing with a character like Bullseye. This is just definitely the epic conclusion, and I really think that Charles Soule gave us kind of like this perfect send off for Daredevil. If this is the way, like if this was to be the last Daredevil story ever, um, that like his end, like this would be a great send off, and then all this brought to life by the incredible work of Steve McNiven and also Dean White, whose color palette has been very gritty, very dark, very desolate. But then there are these moments of light, of hope, these incredible things. The way that the Daredevil's radar powers are portrayed, that's always very outstanding to me. I Steve McNiven was trying something here with the paneling as well. He was doing a lot of very small panels to kind of give us this really interesting pacing, try to fit in all the dialogue very neatly as well. Which another thing that this is kind of where Clayton Cowles comes in, like just everything working together in this book, right? Clayton Cowles making sure to have all this dialogue that is really driving the story in a way that it does not distract away from this beautiful art. I love it. I love the way this book is laid out. I love the twists and turns. I just love a good classic Daredevil versus Bullseye story. I think they are some of the most formidable adversaries that you can find in a story, especially because they both have very pure motivations, and by that I just mean that they're driven in a very specific way, right? Matt Murdock, he's a hero that his neighborhood needs. He's standing up for the little guy. He's doing whatever he can, and then Bullseye on the flip side of that coin, he's just like the most evil piece of crap you could find, right? He only wants to destroy everything, especially now in a world where his abilities have declined in such a way. So I really thought this was great. The inclusion of characters like Frank Castle was amazing. Of course, we had Captain America show up in the first issue. So yeah, the world really feels very lived in. And then of course with a conclusion that really makes you question if any of this was worth it for Matt. So you'll have to kind of read and really judge that for yourself. But man, oh man, I don't know how the detail work on some of these lines by McNiven. It is like there's no inker in this. He was doing all this himself, right? At least there's no inker that's credited. So just I love seeing the process. Luckily for us, we live in an age where Steve McNiven can share some of that on his Instagram, and then you can also check out in the back. There's a little bit of a script and some of the pages, kind of the layouts of how everything is coming out. So if you like the process, you can find all that stuff here in the back of the book as well. Just a little bit of process stuff in the back, which is always a plus when they add some really cool back matter. Really makes it, this is a $7 book. So overall, for the 3 issues, you're paying a little over $20. But the story, the content, and then all the little extras, I think they are definitely very much worth it. So I love this series. I really can't wait for this collection to come out because I definitely know Marvel needs to give us a really cool hardcover with brand new art by Steve McNiven. That's the only way I'll accept this. So if you have read Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We also talk about comics on Sunday mornings. So stay tuned in the channel for all that stuff. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. What does this version of Ra's al Ghul, the head of the demon, want with Superman? Let's talk about it in Absolute Superman number 10. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Superman number 10. This is a new book from DC Comics from the Ultimate line. I Every time I pick up this book, I forget how intense things are getting, and boy, oh boy, this one really takes it over the top. But let's talk about the creative team before we get into this. Written by Jason Aaron with Carmine Giandomenico on art, Ulysses Ariola on colors, letters by Tom Napolitano. Uh, Rafa Sandoval was not on this issue, but man, Jean Domenico does such a good job just really making this feel like the world that we have been living in for 10 issues, right? Of course, Rafa is not on every issue, but it really, like all the artists that they've gotten for this, whether it's the standalone Brainiac story or something else, they really feel in the same vein. They draw all the characters very similarly, so they're adapting the style. I believe the colorist has been consistent of Ulises Ariola. That really adds a lot to that because the color palette remains the same, which means that a lot of the stuff is going to hit very similarly. I love this series because of all the stuff that Jason Aaron just kind of rebuilding this world from scratch. It's very, very cool, and they've introduced so many cool aspects. But I like the idea that in this world, in this absolute universe, the Lazarus Corporation, Ra's al Ghul, like his whole empire, he's really interested in Superman instead of Batman, right? Because he's an alien, because he comes from outer space, because he's looking very similarly his motivations of having maybe somebody to kind of join and help him lead his empire. It's all very cool. This book is very much action forward, which means we're going to get a lot of really cool sequences. The version of Christopher Smith, who is normally the Peacemaker, has been just gone through the ringer. And he's probably the most messed up character out of the first 10 issues. And I still love seeing these flashbacks. I love the idea of Kal-El being old enough to understand what he's leaving behind in his world, but not old enough to be able to do anything about it, right? His parents still send him to this earth, and he really only has his armor soul to kind of bring it, like help him come up to speed and figure out what's going on, what he needs to do. But when the head of the demon, when Ra's al Ghul maybe gets the better of him, what is the plan then? This is chapter 3 of the Superman Son of the Demon arc. I believe this might be going up until issue number 12, which I think would make a lot of sense to kind of wrap up this arc here as well. Um, and how does this version of Brainiac really feel about all this, right? Brainiac was looking for his own type of freedom, but we don't know where that's going. So yeah, Jean Domenico and Ariola really making this world feel so intense, so alive. I love it. I'm really enjoying this series. Like the Absolute line has remained just a great constant of everything that's going on. It is pretty incredible that the consistency. I love that the idea that DC has planned this out probably for the long run, or at least however long of a run they're expecting to see. But we know there's some big stuff happening later on in the fall. Will that have any implications with this? I kind of like that these series are very much standalone, but we know that some of these characters will be meeting up each other finally in some of these issues. So let me know, what do you think of Absolute Superman number 10 if you have read it. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Happens when Captain America and the team finally have to confront Doctor Doom. Let's talk about it in this video for Captain America number 2. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Captain America number 2. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Valerio Schiti, colors by Frank Barton, letters by Joe Caramagna. We also have cover and recap pages, so any pages that have to do with the flashbacks, those are done by Ben Harvey, who has been an artist that I wasn't very much aware of, but man, oh man, do I like his style a lot. So, but let's talk about this issue. witness the rise of one of Marvel's most infamous villains as Captain America comes face to face with Doom for the first time. This is Latveria like you've never seen it before. Also, who is David Colton, and can Steve trust him to have his back as they infiltrate this hostile country with these new version of the Howling Commandos? I think the introduction of this David Colton character is very, very interesting. I like the idea of the United States and Shield and all these organizations never that they never stopped trying to replicate the results for Captain America, right? And we've seen different versions of super soldiers. We've seen different versions of what the serum can do to other people, or what people have done trying to replicate the serum. But this, David Colton seems to be like the closest to a version of Captain America. The only difference here is that he was brought up in a world where he had 9/11 was a very big incident for him in his childhood, and it was a world that it was very different from the more, I'm not gonna say idealistic, but I guess the more simple times from when Captain America may be hailing from. And I say that only in comparison because I know that each of these time eras had their own very, very difficult implications on a character like Captain America. But I like the duality. It's almost like having, yeah, Chip Zdarsky's having his cake and eating it, of like, well, we can see what that, the 20th century Captain America would look like, but also we see what the classic Captain America would look like, how they kind of interact together. I think we learned so much about David Colton in the Ben Harvey pages, the flashback sequences, which are terrifying. Like the implications of what's going on in those pages are terrifying. And then of course in the new pages we get a lot of action, really cool action, which Valerio Shitty like just I continues to deliver not only very dynamic battle scenes but also very expressive faces. There's a lot of conversations here because if you read in much Captain America, Steve definitely likes to try to talk things out before we get a lot of punchy. So, and of course, all this happening right near right near Latveria, where Doom is now controlling. Now, in this world, we don't know much about Doom, right? This is in the past where Doom, but as a contemporary reader, if you know what's going on with Doom, not only in the current books like the One World Under Doom crossover, but also just the movies that are making Doom a really big character. So I can see why there's so many Doom centric books that are trying to retcon, retell, reestablish Doctor Doom as a very important character, which really makes me very happy as a fan of Doctor Doom. I think the character is is so malleable to tell all sorts of stories. Even if you want to make Doom more of an anti-hero or a good guy or whatever, but he's also one of the most terrifying villains. He's well adept with sciences. He hates the Fantastic Four. He can do magic. Like he can, and then he also has the hearts of his people every once in a while in Latveria. So like it really it makes it so cool to tell a story like this. And I think that Zdarsky really understands what Steve is dealing with as far as the mission, right? Where does he draw the line between completing the mission and also doing the right thing? Like where is that gray area, or is there even a gray area for Steve, or does he see both things as black and white? Great stuff, great stuff. I was very excited when this book was announced, and I can see that it's really paying off. So if you have read this issue of Captain America #2, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. I can't wait to go pick it up on shop. I haven't been to my other shop where I usually pick up some of this other stuff. So as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We also have our comic book show on Sunday mornings. So just stay tuned, subscribe, and hit the bell so when we go live on all those things. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye. Do you ever wonder what happened to those people that allegedly escaped Alcatraz back in the 60s? Well, if you do, this is the perfect comic book for you, so let's talk about that. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Out of Alcatraz. This is a 5-issue limited miniseries that has finally come to an end from Oni Press, written by Christopher Canwell, with art by Tyler Crook. And this explores a fictional continuation of the real life 1962 escape from Alcatraz, imagining what if they had made it to land. These characters, they wash ashore, they rendezvous with a mysterious female handler, and attempt a perilous trek through California towards the Canadian border, all while a relentless manhunt closes in on them. These characters grapple with the realization that life on the run may be worse than prison, and Alcatraz ever was. Um, so you may know Christopher Canwell for the TV show *Halt and Catch Fire*. Also, Breyer also recently wrote a Doctor Doom series for Marvel, and then Tyler Crook, an artist, Tyler Crook, for the acclaimed series Harrow County. He's worked on BPRD, The Lonesome Hunters, like a lot of really, really cool stuff. I think this is a great, great creative team. This was the main thing that drew me to the book. I'm not a big history buff or somebody that goes and revisits fictional stories and fictional retellings of stories, but the creative team just really hooked me. So I think this really brings together the blend of cinematic tension, the realism of these characters being on the run, and then the art has a very expressive way to bring this period, this specific period in time in American history that really makes you feel like you're in the '60s in California. I think that the pacing works very well for the visual storytelling. The first issue is oversized, which is great, and that's where we kind of meet the characters. And even from those first few pages where you're just seeing the water and these characters trying to escape, trying to make it to land, and even maybe losing one of their own, like it's very dark, it's very grim, and once they make it to shore, things just get even harder. Because life on the run, even in the '60s, was very, very tough. I think Tyler Crook brings these characters to life in a very it feels very real, feels very grounded, feels very much of a gritty retelling. I love the idea of these crime stories just focusing on the people that are living through them, right? This is definitely a character piece or a character's examination of what they would do, whether it's their own moral dilemmas, what the cost of freedom is, and then of course all their interpersonal connections. Also, who is this handler? Why do they want? What do they want out of these guys? What would they? What would the handlers help them escape and try to make it? And what is at the end of the road for each one of these characters, all while being hunted down by the law in the 1960s, which works very differently, right? I think you may think like, well, why didn't they just escape or get away? But I think the team makes a very it makes a very smart effort to really try to explain how even in the '60s, with whatever technology was available, being a fugitive was tough. People were sharing information, people just talking about them, and how difficult it was for them if they had made it to land, if they had wanted their freedom. But what are they looking for? That's really the thing. One of the things I liked the most about this book was actually that idea of freedom versus the imprisonment, right? These characters have literally escaped from the world's most secure prison at the time, but they are now trapped in a different, like, even though they have their freedom, quote unquote, they now have to fight for that freedom and to try to keep it, and that kind of puts them into a different prison. Also, there's a lot of societal judgment from them. They also kind of have to abide by what this handler is saying because they don't have identities, right? They're pretty much non-existent people, and I think that really that's a really cool area to explore, like what makes an individual who they are, and what about when society has kind of put them out of their periphery, like do they even continue to exist? Are their dreams valid? Are their aspirations valid? Also, these people were in prison, so maybe they're not all good people, right? They definitely have flaws and things that they also have to deal with, and there's a lot of twists and turns because there's something set up in the first issue that I don't want to give it away. I think it's a really impactful part of the story, but it's dealt with so well. It's quite an emotional journey. I read the first issue, and we have a review for that on the channel. because it's a really extensive issue. It was really cool to kind of dive into all that stuff all at once. But once the 5 issues were out, I went back and reread the whole thing all at once. And man, oh man, this is gonna be a great collection. I can't wait to reread it. Maybe when the collection's out, I'll go ahead and maybe take another crack at this book and just kind of revisit this, to even if it's just to look at the beautiful art by Tyler Boss, like this painterly style. This it's very, it almost feels very light in some moments, and then the tone just shifts and you can really tell the contrast in the storytelling. Like it really works very well. I love it. And Christopher Campbell, I've said this before in a lot of my videos, he's one of my favorite writers. Like I'll check out pretty much anything that he's working on. Right now in my to read pile, we have Briar, which is a story that I need to catch up on and finish out. So yeah, whether you want a story that explores the failure of the prison system, the moral gray areas of these characters and the empathy with them, like the depictions of these fugitives on the run in this time period, or even just a good old crime story. Like I'm a big fan of crime storytelling. At least for now, it's something that I really like. Like I like reading things like A Criminal by Ed Brubaker and Phillips, also Fatale by the same team. So like they have, those two guys had been my crime comic book creators, but now I'm very glad to have found this as well. And even if you're just a fan of historical what ifs, like this really works for that as well. So I can't wait to check this out. I'm sure Oni's going to put out a really cool collection in the future because they are known to put out very great collections of their big books like this. I think while I was doing some research for this was kind of pitched as a pilot for a limited series back in 2018 or something like that. So I'm very cool that it's very cool that a it found a way to come out to the people in comic book form. So I really like that. So if you have checked out of Alcatraz, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.